Welcome. My name is Kelly.
And my name is Brynn.
And this is Fanimated, an animation fan podcast where we get a chance to geek out about our favorite animated media. And this is our mini episode, Whatcha Watchin'?
What you watching?
And we're going to be chatting about what we've been watching recently. So, Brynn, the big question, what have you been watching recently?
Well, there's this little movie that I watched recently called Nausicaa, our episode for recently. Super excited for that. But no, so we're still in quarantine, and I have picked up a couple of sit down at your computer and crunch numbers jobs. And not crunch numbers, but secretarial kind of jobs.
Yeah, it's just some data entry.
Yeah, and so having something on in the background that I recognize and don't really need to pay close attention to is super helpful. So I just completed Gravity Falls again.
Yes. Oh, so good.
Gravity Falls is amazing, of course.
Seriously, one of the best shows.
I really appreciate that they stuck to 2 seasons because that's all it needed.
Mm-hmm.
They knew where they were going and they hit the mark and then they were done and they ended it beautifully. Yeah. So I've been watching Gravity Falls. I kind of have a ongoing soiree, an ongoing relationship with Star versus the forces of evil. I know that you were not a huge fan of the ending. I loved the ending and thought that it was really good. I thought that they ramped up to a crash, crashing into the ending that they had, and I really enjoyed it personally.
Yeah, definitely go back and listen to the Star vs. Forces of Evil episode that I did with Jamie back when, it was probably within the last year, I think. But yeah, I do love the show. I love the writing, and I was underwhelmed by the ending, but that's just me.
I will say in veiled terms that I saw the major destruction of a system at the end being very similar to just deconstructing the systems that we have now in order to create something new. And I haven't seen a show take such drastic measures to deconstruct their entire system of being and their entire just economical and social system before like that.
Yeah.
And right, so that's part of why I really am enjoying it now, especially because of everything that's going on. Just starting to get into my next rewatch of Inuyasha.
Yes. So good. Okay, how many times have you watched that, Brynn?
So, I don't know if I've mentioned on this podcast before, but I am Rapunzel, and I had a before times, and whenever I talk about the before times, I mean the 4.5, 5 years that I was stuck in a quote-unquote tower without people and with a TV and a computer. So, I would watch Adult Swim in the before times, which cycled through Inuyasha and Fullmetal Alchemist and Furikuri. So Inuyasha is one of my first animes. It is one of the comfort foods of my before times. It is one of the books on the shelf of Rapunzel's tower for me. I love Inuyasha. There are plenty of problematic things in it. As I go back and watch things, I find more things that I am more quote-unquote woke to. But Inuyasha has such a soft place in my heart because they're not serious about anything, but they are, but they aren't. I don't know. I thought it was really good when you said that it's a mix between shoujin and, what is it?
Shoujo and shonen. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, Inuyasha and Kagome and oh my goodness. I love it.
It's so good.
And then James, my partner, has been introducing me to Trigun.
Okay, tell me about it. What's the general synopsis? No spoilers.
So if you've ever watched the beginning of Trigun, the anime opening for it, you have this character who's in this red duster who's, shooting all these guns, and there's one really, it's so dramatic. There's one dramatic shot of him leaning up against a wall with bullet holes all around him, and just kind of like staring down the camera, and all of the tropey things that you would have for an action 2 series edgelord anime. And then you have this, in the actual anime, you have this bumbling character who finds himself in trouble all the time and has to get himself out of it, and has a stupid high luck stat. That's the anime.
Good. Well, I've heard about it, and now that you're watching it, I guess I'll have to add it to my list, my ever-growing watch list.
Yeah. Have you seen Kino's Journey, by the way?
I have not seen that one either.
So that one is about, it's post-apocalyptic, kind of. It takes place on a world where different societies are very closeted inside themselves. And she travels with a motorcycle that she can talk to. But it's a very serious anime, and it goes through all of these philosophical quandaries, like what if everyone was allowed to kill people on one day, or what if we could feel everybody's emotions, or hear everybody's thoughts, what if XYZ, and plays it out in each of these places that Kino journeys to and discovers. Yeah, it's really in-depth and can be really hard at times. It's very serious, so strap yourselves in. If you're not in a good place, don't go looking for it. But it's a really good, meaty anime in a lot of philosophical kind of ways.
Nice. Well, just keep adding it onto the list, man.
So, tell me what you're watching.
Well, I have been watching a lot recently. Just a minute here. I'm going to open this up.
Do you have a list written out?
I do. I have a list written out, everybody, because I have to keep track of everything I watch so that I can talk about it. And also,
that's fair.
Because I'm watching several things right now that I'm not going to talk about yet, but I will talk about in future episodes. So I try to keep things straight, and I try to split things up so that I'm not talking about the same show every single Whatcha Watchin' episode.
Yes, Pearl.
I don't... I am Pearl. I am organized.
I actually have Kelly in my phone as Pearl Kelly. Just so that everybody knows.
that I am Pearl from Steven Universe. That is my basic character profile.
Your archetype.
That's my archetype.
I love it. So you have a list.
Man. So I have a list. And because I don't want to give spoilers about other things that are going to be on the podcast later.
Yes.
Speaking of spoilers, I can't tell you why, but I am binge watching all of She-Ra right now as fast as I possibly can. She-Ra and the Princesses of Power. It is a show on Netflix. And let me just tell you, when it first came out, I watched the entire first season. And then I stopped. The season after season kept coming out, and people were telling me, it's so great. You, Brynn, were one of those people. And I never kept up with it. And now I'm just into season 3, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is amazing. I love it. It's just the characters are so fun. And that really, for me, is the biggest thing about a show. If the characters are great, if I care about them, then I'm going to keep going. And it just now, the season 2 finally starts opening up the rest of the larger story arc and the larger world building. And I'm really excited about that. So
it's so good. I actually had similar feelings about season 1. I kind of lost track of it, but once I got into season 2, and especially moving on from there, I became very, very addicted, one might say. So
yes. So for reasons I cannot yet disclose, I would highly recommend everyone who enjoys listening to us to watch She-Ra for upcoming events. The other thing is that, well, there are obviously a lot But another thing I like to do is, listen, I love binging shows. I love that we have Netflix and all these great streaming services that will just dump an entire season on us at a time. But I really, really enjoy having at least 1 or 2 shows every season that I am watching week by week. Those are quite often anime, because anime still release weekly, unlike a lot of other animated content that's being put on Netflix or wherever else. So obviously I'm still watching Fruits Basket, still loving that. That's no brainer. But for the summer 2020 anime season, the show that I'm really caught on is called Decadence. It is about a post-apocalyptic world where there are barely any humans left, and they live inside of this giant mecha robot that is controlled by a different species. So there's definitely some race classism going on, with the humans being lower than this other species that they're kind of coexisting with. But there are these monsters that inhabit the earth as well, and this other species attacks them and uses it's kind of like their blood. It's like this goop to fuel the big mecha robot that they're in. So there are some humans that get to partake in that battle, those battles, and be a part of that. It feels very City of Ember, like they get assigned a job. This girl, her dad was one of those fighters, but he got killed by the monsters, and she wants to be one of those fighters too. And so of course it's her journey, and there's this other really great character who kind of helps train her and everything, and he is her boss and kind of just this grumpy old man, but then you find out more about him and his past, and it's really fascinating. It is so fun and epic, and there are so many questions, and it's so weird. Like, it's just, you think it's one thing, but then it's not, and it turns into something else. Also, can I just say, the battles, the fighting sequences, make me immediately think about Attack on Titan. I kid you not. So in Attack on Titan, they have this ODM gear that basically lets them they basically move like Spider-Man, and they're leaping across buildings and all this stuff. And in Decadence, they are wearing this like anti-gravity jetpack thing, basically. But you get some of those same like really intense like movements of these fighters like flying around everywhere and all around the monsters and all of that. And it's just really fun. So I'm just absolutely captivated by this world and these characters, and I'm really excited to see where it goes, and hopefully it doesn't disappoint. Well, the only other thing I definitely wanted to comment on is that Wizards comes out on August 7th, and Brynn and I are going to be watching that together. The trailer looks amazing, okay? I cannot wait. For those of you who don't know, Guillermo del Toro has a series of series on Netflix called The Tales of Arcadia. It starts with Troll Hunters, and then Three Below, and now the final piece, Wizards. Every single series is based off of different characters, different things going on, but it all happens in the same place at the same time. And there are certain characters that come in and out of the story at different points, and they all overlap, and they all are centered around this overarching supernatural narrative. And the final piece is coming out, and Brynn and I will be on August 7th, 7 p.m. Central, live streaming, watching some of it, and I cannot wait. Okay.
Yeah, and we're doing a new format too, which I'm super excited about. We're going to be watching it, and we're gonna have our mics off, so we'll just take part in the Netflix party chat with our commentary, and then between episodes we will unmute and be on video and kind of like and gab and stuff. And then we'll go back to being muted for the next episode. And I'm really excited about that. It's kind of like how we did Voltron miniseries for the last season of Voltron a little bit, but live.
Yes. If you go back and listen to our Voltron season 5 series, we have 5 different episodes that we basically all watched a few episodes, we talked about it and recorded and did that for the whole season. But if I'm not mistaken and I'm doing my math correctly, this episode we're recording right now is the week of Wizards coming out. So it's this Friday, people. That's this Friday, August 7th at 7 p.m.
You don't even have to wait as long as we do right now. Like,
yes. Oh, you guys are forward in time. I can't wait to be there with you.
You time lords. You have to tell us how you did it.
Where's your TARDIS? So yeah, the trailer looks great. I cannot wait for Jim to be back, and that's it. I'm excited.
I need to watch 3 Below now. That's what's going to be happening, because I haven't seen 3 Below. That's what's going to be happening in my life from now until then.
Awesome. Good. Well, yes, thank you so much for joining me and talking about what you're watching. I have lots of new additions to my watch list now that I need to check out.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Kelly. It's always awesome.
Oh, well, thank you. It's always awesome having you here. So I'm going to go through our list of things that I normally say, and then we'll sign off together. Sound good?
Sounds great.
So you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, etc. at Fanimated Podcast. Email us at fanimatedpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you, huge thank you to our supporters on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Fanimated. You get to vote for upcoming episode topics, give us suggestions, get merch, get bonus content.
Say how amazing Brynn is.
Exactly.
Right.
All of that is yours on patreon.com/Fanimated. Definitely check it out. The music is provided by Purple Planet Music. The art is done by myself. I'm at Candor Draw on Instagram. And yeah, since you've made it all the way to the end of the episode, we're doing Frozen 2 next week. So check it out. Bonus. What? I'm super excited for that episode to be released. So, Brynn, will you sign off with me?
As always, Black Lives Matter.
And stay tuned.
And stay animated.
Hey guys, just wanted to let you know that I was a guest on Banter I Hardly Know Her, a podcast where they talk about lots of different films, including tons of Disney stuff. They've got some really fun episodes. I know we've talked about them on the show before, so definitely go check that out. I had a great conversation with Perry about Animal Crackers, the new animated film on Netflix. So definitely check out the movie, check out the show, and go support some other awesome podcasts. Again, that's Banter I Hardly Know Her. And stay tuned and stay animated.